Alright, so hello everyone and welcome back to Satisfactory. Last time we left off, we were in the middle of making this magnetic field generator factory, and I say in the middle, we're actually pretty close to done with it. We mostly have just ingot smelting and then bringing in the raw resources to go. Also, I've noticed that I have this 2400 steel listed still. We've finished that one. Right, so we have the iron and coal for that in there. Alright, so next up, we need to do more ingot smelting. So let's do copper next, probably. We've got 3 locations that receive copper ingots, right? We've got the wire here, we've got the copper sheets here, and we have the quick wire here. So let's set those up with all the copper that they can need. And is there going to be a good way, like a good place to put that where it won't overlap things? I don't think so, because the Caterium is going to both of those places as well, and it has to go in the order it's going in. So yeah, we're gonna have a little bit of overlap here, although actually they're gonna be going up to the top floor a lot anyways, so we can soar with it that way. Alright, so let's just start getting these refiners in. So we get 4x refinery, and you need to go in somewhere where we have power so I can hover. So let's line you up something like that. And then we will connect that up to the grid like that. Okay, now you get set to pure copper ingots, which are going to be 37.5 per minute. We need a batch of 520 some, a batch of 200, and a batch of 29. So which one of you needs just 29? It's probably this one. Yes, so we need almost no copper going into that one, so that's just going to get a single machine. And then the 200 copper is probably going into these copper sheets. Yeah, and then the 520 some, the biggest chunk, is going back here. Okay, so let's get that set up. So we've got this whole row of machines there. Then we're going to need the one extra over here for the fused wire, and you need to be 29.628, just like that. And you get your output belt, which will be going up this way and into this area. So you can just go directly up to there and then across to here. Okay, then the other chunk is coming in 200 and some other weird numbers. So we can combine those two up to 720, and that we can then just split them off into 2 belts after that point. So let's get some extra space in and just keep that running along like that. Okay, now how many machines are we going to need for 720? Max overclocked is 93.75. So 720.824 divided by 93.75 is like 8 machines. So that's pretty straightforward. We just get another chunk of these refineries in here. connect it up to the first one. And then these all need to be set to 720.824 divided by 8, which is 90.1. There we go. So we will just copy paste this along all of these machines. Okay, so that is in. Now we need to combine these guys up. Oh, we need these ones to be connected up to power as well. So we take that power line and we pop it over there. So these guys are all combined up, and what speed belts are these? They're Mark 5s. They need to be Mark 5s, and the outputs of the machines need to be upgraded to Mark 2s. I cannot click these tiny little segments in there. Okay, so we've got all that, and now we need to wrap this around over to here. So it just loops around, comes up this way, and we need a little bit of foundation up on this level so that we can get it across that chunk there and prevent us from doing ugly belt crossing type stuff. So all these belts connect in, and across we go, all the way over to here. Now, half of them go down to there, the other half stay up here and go over to that row. So we're gonna have to send up a splitter, and obviously it's not actually half and half, it's weird numbers. So we need to get 200 over this way. So let's get smart splitter. 200 is 120 plus 60 plus 20. So that should be relatively straightforward, right? So we get a priority merger there. We get this splitter should be enough, probably. And then we have Mark III belt going along that way. That's as fast as that needs to be. So then we get this belt here to split into thirds, like this. So we have a Mark I, and then two of those loop back, and the other one can go forwards. Then that third meets up with this Mark II belt, and then both of those go forwards to meet up with another Mark I belt. And let's see, if this is 270 in here, then that would be split 90, 90, 90, so that wouldn't get the correct amount. So we need to make this belt a little faster just to make sure that it all lines up properly. And then you get priority medium right. And then this is now probably good to be 200, so we can send you down through the floor hole and into the machines. Okay, and there's just one setup down there. So you go in like that, and should be good. Then we take this one is center any left overflow, and the remaining 500 some come over this way, and we'll be meeting up with this where they don't quite, the foundations don't quite line up for some reason. One of these guys is off center, and it's this one. Alright, that's annoying, but not the end of the world. You simply ignore it. So you come up here, Then you pop over to there. And now we need to get these splitters in. And it looks like they need to be upgraded too. So these are all Mark II belts. And then these are going to be almost exactly Mark III belts, actually, just a tiny bit less than that. And then that gets attached in to there, and I believe that is all the setup we need for the copper ingots. Right, so we've got this one. Oh wait, no, that's the Kateria, that was different. This one provides copper to that one. These ones go to the others. Okay, so now we need to mark off the copper demands and write in the copper ore demands. So we need to go get rid of that one for 11.852 copper ore and 7.901 water. And then we have this row, which is 36.04 times 8 times 8, 288.32 copper ore, 288.32 copper ore, and then 24.027 times 8 is 192.216 water. 192.216 water. Okay, so that is copper all sorted down to the ores, and then we just need to get this in. So let's go. We have a splitter here. This was a 288 some copper ore, so each of these are greater than 30, which means that these belts need to be Mark IIs. So all of those can go in. And I upgraded this one by mistake. That's going to be a 36. And then these ones can then just be split across with Mark IIIs, I think. So each of those would be, yeah, those could actually have taken Mark IIs, but it's fine either way. And then finally we get a splitter here, which sends some over there, and we'll get this pipeline connected in. Okay, so now that is going to be 60 despite only needing to be 11. That is going to be 280 something, so we're going to need 300 some, so any normal copper node will do the trick. Like that one over there, or that one down there. Let's grab this one over here, because it's right by the Caterium node we were using earlier, which is probably going to be mildly convenient. So then we just get a nice solid high-speed belt in. Mark V will be plenty. And this needs to run along here. That's the Caterium node. The copper node is just a little bit south of it, down on the ground level. So let's bring this down here and then try to lean a little bit south. Okay, so this belt just keeps on going. And just keeps on going. Probably, that's an iron node, I think, that I can see from the air, but that's the copper node there, okay. So we just have to get sort of down to the, just about to the edge of this foundation, and then we will be good to go. So somewhere like that, we now connect you. And we get this nice long belt going down. Ooh, we are not in power range right now. Let's get a power line down there, speaking of which, so that we can power up the mine once we place it. And now we can just drop down in jetpack mode. And now we're here. There's a very unneeded Mercer Sphere right there. So you get a Miner Mark III. You get a couple of power shards. That will be more than enough. I can grab another stack of power shards because we almost ran out. And then that can just connect up and into the power pole. Gosh, it's so weird standing on the ground, seeing how massive these machines all are. Normally you're flying around and they look a lot smaller. Alright, so that is copper set up and piped in to the factory. So now there's just iron, coal, and water. And actually all of the coal has been sorted out, right? Because all the coal is just that 1600 plus 286. So we're going to need a fair amount of coal. We've got 2 impures there, 2 normals there. So a normal is 600, so those are 1200. These 2 are another 600, so we have 1800 coal, and we need 1880 coal. That's just my luck. That is just my luck. That we are the tiniest amount of coal short of what we need here. How do we fix that? We could maybe salvage some coal from these nodes over there. Those probably aren't being fully used, hopefully. Okay, let's just grab the coal while we're here, sort of near-ish to ground level. So the first batch is down this way. And I don't know, maybe we can like... How much iron is in the area? We've got a normal node and another normal node over there. There's actually not much. I was going to say maybe we just use less efficient iron recipes to make the steel, but we're going to have to be importing the iron from pretty far away too. So yeah, that's going to be a whole process in that case. We're going to have to be running long belts anyways to get the iron in, so we might as well just add some extra coal from those while we're at it. Okay, so now we go over here. These are our first 2. And we get Miner Mark IIIs on them. And then we bring a power line over to connect them up. And they get max overclocked. And you get max overclocked. Alright, so this is 600 coal, which is a start. It's super annoying that we can get like most of the coal, but just barely short in the immediate area. Let's get that merger facing a useful way so that we don't have to do weird things to get it to connect up. Okay. Then this belt here can run all the way over this way. And then once it's over in this general area, it can start going upwards towards the factory. So probably something like this should be fine. And we're just going to get that started for now. So you can go up like that. We have a whole lot more coal to get. So we have these two nodes over here. Can I just drag a power line across with me? So I don't have to mess around with finding power sources over here, which might be quite difficult. Okay, so there we go. We have power over here. Gosh, if one of these were a pure node, or one of those other nodes were a normal node, this would all be 1,000 times easier for the coal. But it's fine, so those two get connected up, and overclocked. And then we get over here, and we overclock you. So these two are going to be a full Mark 6 belt when taken together. So they can go forwards like that. And then I think we're already just about underneath the factory. So you can just go up as well. And then we need to head over to these two coal nodes and hope that they're not 100% utilized. As long as there's even just a tiny bit available, we can grab them. Is this hard drive real? No, it's not. You can get dismantled. It'd be very surprising if it were. Okay, this is the Dune Desert coal source, so we can grab from this area. This is a train supplier, actually. So we can certainly grab from this area without any problems. And that will just be a smart splitter with left overflow. And then what did we need? We had 1,800 and we needed 1,890, so just like a Mark II belt will be plenty for what we need this for. And of course we're going to have to drag it quite a long ways over here to get to the factory. So this belt goes all the way over this way. And then we'll build the iron machines, the iron ingot smelting machines before we start dragging that stuff over. So hopefully that's enough. Okay, so this Mark II belt runs along this way. And a little bit further. And it just keeps going. Alright, now we're in the approximate area. It's so funny, like, having multiple saves where you've done different things in different areas. Previously, the Dune Desert was like the absolute center of everything I did, and all of my stuff was here, and now it's mostly empty. I mean, there's certainly some stuff here, but not nearly as much. Okay, so this should get coal on it eventually. And then we just need to bring these belts up. And then we need to hop over and bring that other one up from where it is. And then we'll have all of our coal. So we just keep on zooming. And we're actually like really close to the edge of the factory, which means, I guess it means that this is going to be relatively convenient to get into its exact location, right? Because it's basically over here already. Okay, so those are up, and that is that. Now we need to drop back down, and actually let's get these two in and then drop back down to get the other one, just to try to be efficient. Alright, so over here, swap to this mode. This is the entirety of the production, right? So we've got this row here, which is making the 400 and some steel. And then we've got these massive rows here, which are taking the other 800 each. So we need to merge these in such a way that we get a belt of 1200, a belt of 600, and then a little miscellaneous belt of extras, basically. So how do we do that? We need... These two belts are 800 each, right? 100 times 8, 100 times 8, yes. So these two belts are 800 each, which, if we have a belt of 1200 and a belt of 600, all right, we can do this with pretty easy splits, I think. And let's have this be the bottom level. I don't know why. I don't think it matters too much either way. But the bottom level just has space for the splitting already. So we need the 1200 to do a 2/3 split. So we get 2/3 of the 1200 goes into there. And then 1/3 goes out this way. Then we need the 600 to do a 2/3 split. And you get that and that. And then the extra 400 from that. Wait, this isn't gonna work out for the extra stuff. So we need another merger there. Alright, so then we have you. That merger needs to be pointing the right way. So you go in like that, and you connect up. So we have the 600 splitting into 3. So then we have 200 over this way. And then we have the belt of 86-ish just coming up here and merging in with that. So that is 200-ish. Then we just have our inputs. So we get a floor hole there, there, and here. So that is the belt of 1200. This is the belt of 600. And this is the belt of 86. And now we just need this to go forward. So that brings 800. That brings 800. And then this brings 280 some all the way over to here. And that's the wrong exit, so it has to be this one. So you attach up to that. And now we just get our coal belts into there, and that will be that for them. So that the far left is the 1200 and the near one is the 86, which is not convenient for how these have been aligned. So we're going to have to do some clever stuff with them. So we can have you point back that way. And then this one runs over this way. And very close to not being powered out here. In this way should give us more wiggle room on that. So that's the belt of 1200. Then this one is the belt of 90-ish, which is going to be 120 in reality because we have some spare. And so you need to come out this way, around the other one. And then you can go in like this. And then I don't know what's going on with that. Straight mode is being weird again. So you just go in via default mode. And that is that. And then we just need to run... Yes, we can see the other coal belt just sort of over there. We just need to run you. And you're 600, so you do need to be a Mark 5. And you come all the way over to here. And we're going to get just to the right general vicinity before dropping down to connect that up. Okay, that's probably close enough. Now let's drop down, swap to jetpack mode, and then land, and you start rising. Alright, up we go. And let's stop to regenerate the jetpack a little bit, just for extra security. We seem to be coming up in a bit of a blind spot for the factory, so let's just have you connect up to here. So you do something like that. Now we can swap back to hoverpack mode. And now this just needs to wrap around. Did this not get Mark 5 somehow? Apparently. So now we head down this way. And we just wrap over this way and attach in. Okay. So that is coal input done. So we can mark another couple of those guys off. And we did the copper, right? Yes, we definitely did. So we can mark that off as well. So now it's just the iron ingot smelting and bringing the water up. And there's going to be a lot of iron ingot smelting, but it's just one step. And so iron ingot smelting, bring the water up, bring the iron up, done. That's all there is to it at this point. Oh, and this merger should be priority medium middle, just so that we don't use more of that coal, which could otherwise be going to a train station, than we need to. Okay, so iron ingot smelting, we need a massive amount of pure iron recipes, as usual. So let's get a whole bunch of space out here, and we're going to start by just plopping down a blueprint and seeing how many of these we're going to need. I think with max overclocking, the answer shouldn't be that many, right? So just put that in, give a little bit of space for splitting. So you are set to pure iron ingots, and yeah, these guys are pretty fast. So 162.5. So we have 1,000. Okay, first we have to figure out the total amount. So it's 1,600 plus 286.6 plus 166.6 is 2,053.3 repeating. 2,053.3 repeating divided by, what was this? 162.5. 162.5 is just over 12. So we're going to, unfortunately, need to go all the way up to 16 for that. Because you can't easily go to just over 12, but that's still not really a big deal. Still an entirely manageable amount of refineries. So you're in blueprint auto connect mode. So that's 4, 8, 12, and we have to get power connected across so that we can fly, and then we're going to have to put in we're going to have to also put in some more foundation over this way. Alright, blueprints, 4x refinery, in you go. Alright, so that is all in and powered. So now we have to get the settings across, and actually, did I get the settings across for this? I feel like there's some machine I built in here at some point where I didn't put settings. No, the copper got the settings correctly. Alright. That's fine. I must just be forgetting things. So we can copy you and paste you across. The lack of settings will become obvious once the factory starts up anyways. I'm not super worried about that being a massive delay. So these all get pasted, and that is all the iron that we need. Now we need to get this iron split, which is going to be a little bit tricky. So first up, we need 1,600. So first we need to figure out where everything is going. So we have 1,600 to this block here. That's going to be 2 batches of 800 as usual. Then we have the 286 to this one, matching the coal. And then we have 166 down to these ones for the iron plates. Okay, so 166 repeating. That seems like that should be a usable fraction. So if we multiply you by you're a third of 500, you're a half of that. So basically, if we get 1,000, divide by 6. That is this one for the iron plates. Okay. So 1,000 is 1,200. If we do 1,200 divide by 6, and then put 5 of those forwards, that's 1,000. And then we take another divide by 6 of that. Alright, this is a little bit complicated. I'm more worried about the space consumption than anything. So let's try to build this sort of as far back this way as possible so we can take all this vertical space. So we have 1,200 there. We divide it by 6, which is first a divide by 2, and that is definitely going to need a merger at some point, so I'll get that in. So first you divide it by 2, then you divide it by 3. So then we take this, and we take 2 of those, 3, and then, oh wait, no, this is backwards because we need to progress this one forwards and send 1/6 back. Okay, so that, I got a little bit confused there, but that's fine. So we need to send 5/6 forwards in order for this to all work. So we need to, this should actually be simple, right? So we take this first, we divide it by 2 like we've done, then we divide it by 3 again, then, okay, this belt here, can you get moved a little bit into that way? Just to give us a little bit more horizontal space here, so that we can get all 3 outputs from this. Okay, so that gets a merger. That gets a merger. So then we combine the other 2 outputs of this and then this, right? So we divide this into 2, so we have a half and a half. Then we divide this into 3, so we have 1/6 going back, 2/6 plus 3/6. So this is our belt of 1,000 here. Now we take this belt of 1,000 and we divide it by 6 again. And then this time we only take one of those forwards. So we have this, and we go, one of those goes through there, and then one of those goes through to there. And then the others all merge back, hopefully, into this same row. Wait, no, that's definitely wrong. Because these are actually merging forwards, so we need to merge back over this way, which means that we don't want that one. We actually want this one to be the output. So you go to there. Then we have half going that way, and then we have these can actually just connect across like that and like that. And then this goes back to the priority merger in front, which is going to be priority to the outsides. So this will still be 1,200 going through. And then that should be all sorted out. So now we just have to feed any speed belt into here, and that'll be 166 repeating. And then we need to feed 1,600 up to these 2. So that's going to be 2 belts of 800. Now, what are these guys doing? Oh, I haven't actually set them to their exact ratios yet. So we need, what was this? It was 1,600 plus 166 repeating plus 286.6 repeating, and divide that by 16 is 128.3 repeating. So let's go over here. 128.3 repeating. And we paste these settings. Apparently we get to use 1 fewer power shard, which is cool. So that goes across. And now we just need to figure out what to do with this from here. Actually, what's this times 2? Is that 256.6 repeating? Not anything useful, just had to check. Sorry about that sneeze. Alright, anyways. So, we need to take 2 belts of 800 out of this and bring them up here. And we need to take those out of the back half of this so that we don't ever go over 1,200. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. At this point, we'll certainly have more than 800. So we're going to split here. And we're going to take this out, put a smart splitter in. And these need these belts to be upgraded. And speaking of which, I think we had some output belts on these. Yeah, these needed to be Mark II output belts. I just remembered when I was upgrading the belts that I had forgotten to do that on this previous set. So let's get those in. And then I believe the mainline belt out of here was correct, so we can leave that. And then back to here, these need to be Mark IIIs to handle the 128. So we just run along, get all of these built, and these will all be Mark IIIs. Alright, now this area here are all Mark VIs as expected, so at this point we need to take 800 out, which we can probably do more easily by going up a level because we have space constraints on this floor. So let's go up to here, and then you get a floor hole just right in there, and up you go. And then the other chunk of you goes forward, so you are right any center overflow. So now up here, this we get a belt coming out of like that, and it's pretty simple. We've got a priority merger in, and then we have a splitter in. So then that will be 1200. We take one of those back at medium priority, and now this is 800. And it can just go in there. Okay, so that is that one done. Then we need to go forwards another chunk. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is the entire thing. Now we can't actually go all the way down here, right? So what we need to do is 800 divided by 128 is like 6 point something. And if it's 128.3, that doesn't really change it much. But if we go 6 down, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I guess we go 7 down, and then this will definitely be between the numbers. So we have 800 going out there. We have a total of like 2,053, I think it was 128.333 times 16. Yes, we have a total of 2,053. We've removed 800 already, so we're going to have 1,253. This last one adds more than 53, which means at this point it's not yet a full Mark VI belt. So we just go like that, and then we do the same thing as we did on the other side. We go up a floor first, just because that's what we did there, for consistency's sake. So you go up a floor and out this way. Then you get a priority merger with priority medium left and a splitter. Then that connects forward, that loops back. Oh wait, we also needed to have we also needed to have another splitter in here because it needs to be into thirds. So let's get that fixed over here as well, because otherwise this would be 600 each instead of 800 forwards and 400 backwards. So we get that in, and then this one comes around and goes into there. So those should be our 2 belts of 800. Now we just need to get this remaining excess belt all the way over that way. And how are we going to get that? So we need, I guess we can just like bring it up on the very edge of all of this, sort of where it is already almost. So you can go up there, and it's going to be minus 800 again, 453, so a Mark IV belt would be good enough. So we can get this Mark IV belt to just run, and it's giving the whole overlap warning thing, but I think that's just because coming out of belts can be weird sometimes. So now we just bring this belt all the way down this way, and got quite a bit of distance to cover. All the way over to here, and then a little bit further, and then we're going to want you to turn up that way, and then turn around this way. Okay, now you need a smart splitter, which sends half of it over this way down to there, and then the overflow can go into those machines. And this needs to be like Mark III, right? For 270, because it's 166 total. So let's get that in. Right, any center overflow. And then you go into there. And I believe that to be all sorted out. So, I believe that is all the iron that we need. Just done in this one giant chunk. And so, now we just have to figure out how much iron this actually is. So this is 69.101 times 16. 69.101 times 16 is 1105.6, so a little bit less than 1 full belt. So we can clear all this stuff out and go 1105.6 iron ore. And then for the water, we have 39.486 times 16 is 631.776 water. 631.776 water. Okay, so now the only thing we need is the iron ore and what looks like a little more than 2 pipes of water. So let's get the iron ore split. It's fortunately just less than a single Mark VI belt, which makes that all very easy. These are 70 each though, so we're going to need to upgrade all of these guys. Nice and extra fast machines in here. Does have the downside of needing to upgrade some belts, but it's a worthwhile downside to not have to place 20 billion machines. Alright, so those are the first line of belts upgraded. Then the second line are going to be 140. So these need to be Mark IIIs. And Mark IIIs. 2s. And some Mark 3s. And some Mark 3s. Hello. Please let me access this belt. Thank you. Alright, so that's all the belt upgrading that we need to do. Now we have our next line is going to be 280 each. So that'll be Mark 4s to there and there. And Mark 4s over to here. So you and you. So now those are 280 each. Our next line is going to be 500 something each, which is Mark 5s. Out to those two, and then we'll have our 1100 total in here. So that is going to be basically exactly one pure node of iron. Please say we have that available. We've got 2 normals. That will suffice. And then we're going to have to get water. So how much water did we say we had? We had 192.216 plus 200 plus 14.82 plus 208.32 plus 7.901 plus 631.776. I don't know why I went to all the decimal point precisions. We need a little more than 2 pipes of water. So we'll just bring up 3 full pipes of water just for ease of use. Okay. So that will be everything. Now, actually, while we're up here, let's get the water pipes all connected. So this line alone needs more than a single pipe. So I think the plan is we're just going to organize up all of the pipe inputs into one area and then hope that it works out. So this, we take some water from here. We have to have this one in particular fed from both sides because it needs 631 water. And just basically anywhere we see a pipe, right? So this gets a full pipe of water plus a little bit of extra. Like that. And then this one is the copper. And this is gonna be... Hang on, did I account for this? I'm not seeing... Oh wait, no, because this is only 24 water each. Yeah, so this is 24 times 8, I think is all. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, 24 times 8, which should be probably the 208. 24 times 8. Oh yeah, so this is the 192 water. So that and the 200 water and the 208 water, we can combine all those up probably. Okay, so the furthest up water is these refineries. Everything past that is assemblers. So these 4 refineries are the 200. So we bring this forward like so. Pipes, always extremely cursed. So this pipe can go out to that general area. Then these ones for the Caterium are going to be the 208 pipes. So that comes in this way as well. Then this refinery here is one of the little guys. So you get to come out there. Okay, so here's what I think, right? So if we do the math here, 192.216 plus 200 plus 208.32 is 600.5. Okay, so we aren't going to be able to feed all of those off of a single pipe. It would have been very sketchy anyways. So what we're going to do is we're going to feed these two off of a single pipe. I don't know. Let's actually just bring all of the pipes into the same sort of region and then just get signs down for each of them to see how we can combine them up best. So you come over to here. Then all the rest of these guys have to come over. This is the tiny little one. Oh, this was also connected to that tiny little guy, the 7.9. Okay, so these pipes all come across, and then they can cross over that gap. And now this should be all the water demand on the map, right? Or at least not on the map, but in this factory. So we have these two combined have to be 631. So these can be 631.776. So that's a little bit more than one pipe. Then this one here is the 192 plus, it also has this extra one, plus 7.9. 192.216 plus 7.901 is 200.117. So this one is 200.117. Then these ones... Okay, I believe this is the other small one, right? Just coming out of that tiny little Caterium factory. So this is a 14.82. So you get a sign of 14.82. And then this one is the 200 flat. So you get a sign for that. And you are exactly 200. And then we have this one come over here. And you're the last remaining one. You are the 208.32. 208.32. So we have all these, and we can combine them up so that, like, if we combine up these three, then, oh wait, no, I have a better idea. So we combine up these three. So this will be like a pipe of 400-ish, which is fine. Then this and this, so these two will get another pipe of 600, and then that will get a pipe of 600. Okay, so yeah, we just need to get the junctions in so that all these guys can be connected. So you three go up together, and then you two go up together. And then we have a little bit of excess put into that one. Hang on. Have I missed something? So these three together are 400 something. That, if this is a full pipe, we're going to get 600 and 400-ish there. and then another 200-ish there. So yeah, this is correct. So now we just get down a couple of floor holes for these guys, and they all feed into these. None of these need more than 600, so then let's also just get valves there and there just to prevent weird looping shenanigans, which shouldn't ever happen, but might decide to ruin my day anyways. So now we just have to get 3 pipes of water into there and 1 belt of iron. So the water, we're getting it from that river over there, I believe, which I sure hope is wide enough and deep enough. Otherwise, we're going to have a problem. So then this needs to come over this way. And actually, we kind of need to drop it down immediately because all these other belts are going to be in the way otherwise. So let's get a wall. And the wall can just go in like that. And then these pipes all attach onto it. Like that, and oh, that's wrong. So we just need them to go in a sensible order so that they don't do weird stuff. So you go down like that, and that'll be everything. Then our iron belt is over there. I guess we can work with that on the way coming back up. So now we just have to get these pipelines all the way down. And that might be a little bit complicated to do with the jetpack because we're gonna have to be hovering and stuff. It's gonna be a nuisance, that's for sure. Oh, and then do we want... Yeah, I think we want a water tower for this, actually. So, let's do that, because otherwise we're going to have to run 3 super long pumps. So we get up to this level, and we get a wall going a little bit further up, just so that there's definitely enough head lift. And then we get some foundations up here. Do not need much, just enough for an industrial fluid buffer. So you go up here, and you then need to be connected down to there. And then also connected down this way. So that you can provide head lift. So we need, I guess, just 2 floor holes there and there. For you to connect into and you to connect into. And are we going to do the packaged water actually set up? No, we don't have any packaged water, so we can't use that to generate head lift super easily. But that's fine. Wasn't expecting that. So we need to just get all of these guys down and in as well. So we're going to swap to the jetpack, and actually, is the jetpack gonna kind of suck here? Maybe even the parachute? Maybe parachute's the play here? Okay, so first off, we get these pipes to come around onto the other side of this wall. And then we start dragging them down. Then we get the wall to go down. And we have to build all of these pipes super fast. So then we loop around to this side and get these ones built down. Not an enormous rush, but we do have to be a little bit quick. So that the wall keeps expanding downwards, as do the pipes. And then we fly back over to the other side. And we keep bringing these ones down. And down you go. Almost there. And then we're going to have to put pumps on one of these legs back here to get it all the way up, which is going to be a nuisance. And also that connected wrong. We definitely do not want that. So these go in. Stop trying to connect across to other pipes. Just build normally. And at this point, I believe we are at ground level. So we can swap back to hover pack now. And just get all these guys down. Okay, so then they can come off of the wall. Like so. And then we hop around to get these ones off the wall as well. Okay, so now we're down here. We go over to the river and hope that it's wide enough. If this river isn't wide enough, I'm going to be upset. Oh, it might not be wide enough. I should have checked this first. Okay, resource is not deep enough, but it does widen over here, right? So as long as we can get the water extractors in somewhere, then it's fine. But apparently it's designed to defeat us. Alright, so where is... There's like some puddles over there, or we just have to head all the way down, I guess, upstream, technically. So let's hope. First of all, is it possible to get any in here? No, it's not. Okay, what about up here? This looks like it might be deeper, even if it isn't wider. Alright. Please work. Okay, yes, we can fit water extractors in this area. And unfortunately, we're going to have to bring power over here as well. But, so we can get 2 water extractors there. Is that all? Can we get from up on top of that waterfall input maybe? Or just down this way? Okay, no, there's definitely not enough. So we can get 1 pipe out of this, but not enough. There's not like... Oh, there's technically one of those which we can use. So I guess let's do that. That'll be fun. You know, it's the last thing in the game we ever do. We might as well make use of one of these silly water extraction node things, which are almost entirely pointless in most circumstances. Alright, so we have power over there-ish. And that should actually be relatively close to where we're headed, so it should be fine. So we fly over this way. That's probably the water node over there. So let's just grab this power pole and start bringing it over. It's getting a much longer trip for the water than I had hoped it to be, based on underestimating how shallow that river was. But it's fine. Now we're right here. Resource well pressurizer goes in. Power line gets connected up. And you, at max overclock, are capable of producing 1500 water, which is more than enough. Right, because we needed like 1240 some water or something silly. So now we just get extractors on all of these guys. Try to get them in before those alien guys cause problems. Okay, so now we just need to get all this stuff sorted up. So that's 150, that's 300. That's 300, that's 75. Can we find another 150 to connect into this one? No, but we can find these two 75s, I guess. See, yeah, why would you ever do this when you could just use a lake? Alright, so that is one pipe of 600. Then we take, for all of these guys, 300s. Yes. So then we take a second pipe of 600, and then I guess you're just going to be a pipe of 300, and I'm pretty sure this should work for our setup. If not, then we will figure that out and be sad about it in a moment. So, these come along. Do you at least give headlift or something? Probably not. That would be too convenient. Okay, so we just need to take you way far to the south now. So all the way down to that river, where we just will pipe water along the river. A very normal thing to do until we find that wall we had. I can actually see it in the distance. And then we connect these guys up to all of that. And we are going to have to construct the head lift system for all of this. So that will be a bit of a process. Also, I don't know if we're going to have enough head lift to even get these guys to there. But we are kind of going a ways up over these dunes. It should be fine in the end. Okay, we can actually take just a shortcut across the desert. We don't have to follow the river. So that will save us a little bit of time. Okay, so this just keeps on going. Am I still in? Yeah, I'm still in hover pack. Let's swap to jetpack, because we are out of our regular territory right now. So these pipes just keep on going forwards. And are we going to be having headlift problems? So far, the answer is no. So far, headlift is working. So we just need to continue getting these pipes the last little bit. And all the way over to here. And then forwards. So that's all the pipes right over there. It's not far at all. So we just have to get around Mr. Bean, because of course he would be standing here. And then we just keep going. Okay. So now we're at the point where we need to just hop over here, set up the whole head lift system thing, and then go from there. So we have a Mark II pipe, which runs across like that, and it's got 1, 2, 3 connections on it there to connect up to all of those 3. Then it loops around this way and connects into that, and I guess that way to connect into there. Now this one has a valve facing that way and set to 0, and this way has a pipeline pump which will go in and then just connect up to a power pole somewhere. Okay, so now we have all that. Now we bring our pipes across and connect them in to this whole system. And then that should start getting water pumped up. So that goes in, and that goes in. Alright. So this pump is giving its head lift. The water is going to go up that way. Looks like the water is actually making a decent job of getting up here, but yeah, it's officially stuck on that front. So now what we need to do is we need to bring the head lift on this row all the way up to the very top, and then that should instantly get the head lift functional on all the other sides as well once it starts flowing down the other side of this water tower. So we get that one in, and we just keep on bringing these guys up. Give them a little bit of space, just because we don't want to somehow run into them overestimating themselves and getting stuck. That has happened before, I think, because water is a little bit inconsistent sometimes. Alright, so this just keeps on going up. I can't see where the next one needs to be, so we're just going to put it right there, sort of at the base of that. And then we have water making its way up here. Is it able to reach the fluid buffer? It is. So, water is reaching the fluid buffer, and it will now be draining down that way, and eventually that will provide head lift for all of this to go. So we see the drain rate. There's some water in here. That's going down. So now it's just a question of waiting, and theoretically, once this water shows up, the only thing we need is the iron. So let's go grab the iron. That's from those 2 normal nodes. And we're just going to bring that up. And then hopefully by the time that is ready, we will have the whole thing. Oh, no, that was a mistake. Alright, it's fine. We catch ourselves through the power of the jetpack, and now we just need to bring this lift down. And once it's in, we should already be seeing all of the non-iron related projects start running. And once this is in, then that should be the final step for everything. So let's head west for the first iron node. It's just right over here. I think we spotted it from the sky earlier. See if I can see it. Is that it? Yeah, there we are. Okay, so we go here. we get a miner Mark III with some power shards and not outputting directly into a rock. That would make it rather difficult. And of course these guys have decided to just start taking a stroll through the area. No hurry, little guys. Just take your time. Not like I'm trying to build a factory here or anything. Alright, that's fine. We got it built. And now we get it powered. And I grabbed more leaves accidentally. Alright, so now that's all overclocked. We need to run this belt over here. And where exactly did that belt land? I think I saw it over there. Yeah, there it is. So this belt runs over here and is going to go in. And once this is in, we should be producing our final output at half rate. So that is all set up. So then, final step, there's another iron node up this way. Let's just start dragging the belt now. And so this goes along. And it just keeps going. Okay. Now we need to grab a power line again, bring it over here. Power line from there. You come over this way. And now the miner Mark III goes in. Gets powered up. Power shards to get it to 600. And you get attached in. And that should be everything. So, assuming the water supply starts doing its thing, which it seems to not be, that I think what we have to do sometimes is we have to sort of let that run for a little bit. And now if we chop that back off, now we should be all clear on this. So you have 600 a minute, you have 600 a minute, you have 600 a minute. Yeah, so that should be the water supply good. The iron supply is going up. And that should be everything. So now we can fly up here. We see the water is making its way in. These guys are starting to open up. And then... What are you doing up here? We're like 1,000 miles off the ground. Can you... I don't want you up here. This is a monster-free zone. Go away. Alright, I don't normally murder these guys, but they also don't normally get in my way up on my factory. So that's all sorted out. Now the water is just going to be flowing in, and we'll get to see if it all works or not. We're starting to see some blue lights on some of these guys. So we have iron going out, we've got copper going out, and some of these, like this production line is right at the very end of the priority list. So if that gets any, it'll be kind of a miracle. But it's starting to warm up. So it's all going strong so far. That's getting its copper. These guys have their caterium, and the copper is on its way. So we should just start to see these lights flicker on as the water gets through all of these. Then they should get onto full speed, and as the outputs from the first ones start up, then the later ones should start producing as well. So here we've got steel pipes going out already and a couple of steel beams. And then this is all getting booted up. Still need wire for you, which is currently a work in progress. These are 74 per minute, and we do have Mark II to account for that, so you should be fine. These guys still need Deuterium. So yeah, it's just going to be hoping that the water supply is good enough. We should have like 300 spare water, but as far as where exactly that 300 spare water is going to show up and in what order, it's hard to say. But it should be all set up. So this one is almost completely filled on its water. It just needs these last couple rows to finish. This is where having 3 full pipes instead of 2.5 pipes would be more convenient, so that we don't have to worry about this sort of not necessarily perfect splitting. We can just brute force it with more water. Like, okay, we've got some of these guys in the middle here are out. Actually, you aren't outputting successfully. Why are you not outputting successfully? You have your belts. This is all static. Oh, I see. So this needs to be right any center overflow. Not adaptive control units, dang it. Overflow. Alright, so that is now putting its 800 over to these machines. This one was already set up correctly to begin with. So that should be an improvement. And now these guys back here are yellow, possibly for the same reason. Yep. They haven't quite gotten all their stuff out yet, but that should theoretically equalize pretty quickly now that we've made that fix. The output numbers being high in general means that it takes less time for buffers to fill and unfill. Okay, so the first chunks are all mostly going. It's these latter ones which are kind of sketch. Are these not outputting enough? So is this belt too slow? Yes, we had a Mark II belt in there, which needed to be Mark III. So that is that fixed. And then all of these guys making quick wire are good to go. They seem to have all the Deuterium needed, and they certainly have all the copper needed. And they are actually struggling with getting enough output. So these guys should be short on copper sheets, and they are, but it looks like they have enough. Yeah, so now they're starting to run. They're starting to warm up. It must have just taken a little bit for the copper sheets to get here, because these are all running correctly, and they only go forwards to the one place. So that should be AI limiters being produced. It's funny how they keep not being running despite having like 7 or 8 copper sheets in their inventory. I guess they need like 10 at a time in order to run one cycle. 8, 9. Alright, so that's probably just catching up, and that'll happen eventually. Then we move forwards to the EM control rods, which haven't gotten any AI limiters yet, so the first couple of those are still making their way over. And likewise, versatile frameworks, the first modular frames are starting to appear on the belts now. And that should be getting there pretty fast. So it's going to be a while before this is at full 100%, just because of all the weird little things, like all of these guys not running at quite 100% yet. Are these not fast enough? Yes, so these need faster belts. So these need Mark II belts because they're being 71 at a time. Oh wait, these ones over here need to be Mark III belts, which I had previously. Okay, so it's this group which was messed up, and now they should be fine. This group over here was humming along, and they have produced enough steel beams for everything. It's the modular frames that we're waiting on. And we've got a big blockage on the modular frame front. All 4 of these guys aren't getting any steel pipes. Did I mess up that connection? I did. Okay. So that belt goes out. We get you into there. How fast are these for steel pipes? It's 20 per machine, and there's 4 machines in a row. So this whole thing is going to be like 80 some. So you get a Mark II belt. You get a Mark II belt. You get a Mark III belt. And this was the overflow output, so it might just be short anyways, but it should be a lot closer now. So now we can get the other half of the modular frames producing. We are seeing a couple of the versatile frameworks get started. So that's all going. These steel pipes still haven't come through. And then it's going to be like a minute before they finish from there anyways. But they are starting to go in. So this will be theoretically 60 seconds until it gets all the steel pipes, and then another 60 seconds after that before the modular frames produce, and then another little bit after that for those new modular frames to make their way down the belts. So it's not going to be a fast process of getting fixed up. And these guys over here now have copper sheets, now don't have quick wire. Ah, well yes. So these need 200 quick wire per minute, which means these need to be Mark III belts, and these are similar but slightly different. They still need to be Mark III belts. Okay, then if these are 200 each, then this belt needs to be Mark IV and a Mark IV. Then we go over here, and these ones do have a Mark IV going in. So that should be all fixed for that. These should now be capable of producing the AI limiters that they need. They've got plenty of copper sheets, and the quick wire is coming in now. So that should be all good. Then over here, the stators are also doing just fine now that the quick wire shortage is over. So these are just going to be waiting on both of those to get fixed up again, which should be like around here-ish on the belt, and a little bit closer on the stator belt because they're physically closer. And both of those have periods of just 6 seconds, so it should be a quick upgrade. And then the EM control rods are going out, and we are starting to see some of these guys come into life, making magnetic field generators. So now we just make sure that you are set up, and you aren't, so let's go left any center overflow, so you can output into the drone port nice and easily. And that will be that. We're just going to have to stick around this for a little bit more, because there are all sorts of weird little mini problems, and this, of course, is the downside of building it backwards like this. Oh, this one isn't connected in. Yeah, so the downside of building things backwards like this is you don't get any feedback as you're building, which means that you have to wait to to be entirely done before you can start working out any of these little bugs in the system. How many modular frames was this? 6.25 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. 6.25 times 8 should be less than 60, so that should be fine. And yeah, we've got a whole backlog of modular frames coming out of that machine, which should, in theory, get these guys running at full speed, at least in a little bit, once this is through. Okay, the first couple lines we're starting to see mostly blues. There's a whole lot of yellows over here. So this whole system is very bad. What's up with you? You're not getting enough output. Is that a throughput problem, or is it just because the things they're feeding to have stalled? I believe it's just that the things they're feeding to have stalled. And not for a lack of steel beams. They've stalled for a lack of modular frames, it looks like. So that's okay. This one isn't getting reinforced iron plates, so what's up with that? Not getting any iron plates back here, it looks like. So, is it actually a copper wire problem or an iron plates problem? It's got to be the iron plates, right? There's hundreds of copper wire in there. So, yeah, it's definitely iron plate shortage. So why are you guys not working? Because this one was never connected up. Easy mistake to make, easy fix to make. So that should provide us our iron plate buffer now. And you are just waiting because you don't have enough output space. And hopefully we will finish all this stuff up soon. The reinforced iron plates, how long are they going to take? They're going to take like a minute and a little bit to be fully fixed from the iron plate shortage. And that should just happen eventually. But that was like a 2/3 shortage, right? So over here, we still have copper sheet problems, and that is a belt input problem, surely, because this belt is backlogged. Okay, so each of these is 50, which means that this... Okay, yeah, that needs to be Mark II, and that needs to be Mark II. So these are 100 each, and then this needs to be... Yeah, where does the splitter go to? The splitter doesn't do anything. Okay, so that is in there. So now that copper sheet problem should be fixed. And they can all get into here fast enough now, and that should be near instant, because it's so close to this side of things. So probably the next cycle after this one will be good. So we're going to have this delay, and then, yeah, they're building all the way up. And now we'll have plenty of copper sheets forever, and the AI limiters will be up and running. Over here, you're up to 91%. Any other yellows? These guys are going to just be short on AI limiters, I assume. Yeah, that's all that they have. I saw a yellow over here. Is that just... That's just the reinforced iron plates fix not making its way down here yet, unless there's some other weird problem that I'm not realizing. But yeah, that's probably it. So these are all running. And the plates are coming out. So it should just be a matter of how long it takes for these guys to catch up. So it should be done this cycle by now. It all looks like there's enough reinforced iron plates in all those machines. which means they should be stable at this point. These guys over here are still limited on the amount of output they can deliver. And that is because these guys are... Okay, we have another belt speed problem in here for the copper sheets. Let's hopefully fix that soon. So those get to be 100 each. And that should be fixed. And hopefully that fix came through before we actually started to see shortages because of that. Otherwise it's going to take another whole chunk of time to get fixed again. And okay, it does look like there were some problems potentially, but it's fixed now. So now everything is going, hopefully. We still see yellow flickering lights on these guys, so you aren't getting enough steel. So those are Mark 2s. Are these Mark 3s? Yeah, so that's a Mark 3 belt. That's a Mark 3 belt. This is a Mark 4 belt coming in, and it's not having input problems, which means the issue is with these guys. So they aren't getting enough coal. Did I forget to upgrade the coal belts to Mark 2s? No, the coal belts here are all Mark 2s. It's the actual physical input, which is a problem. There's nothing coming from here. There's plenty coming from these two. Alright, let's just get signs on. You get a throughput monitor. You get a throughput monitor. That's 600. That's gotta be 1200, right? Oh, wait, no, these were the ones which were output limited, potentially. Which would be the only reason for you to be too low. But then this one is definitely supposed to have coal on it. Alright, we're going to have to drop down and follow it back. This was the slow one coming from super far away. We might need to change the settings on that belt. So, let's follow this back. It's probably because a train just showed up. If I had to guess, like a train showed up, pulled all of the resources off of the train station, and now this belt is just dedicated to filling up the train station instead of doing this. Because I'm pretty sure I set this to be an overflow output or something. And I just need to set it to be the other way around. So we fly down this way. And yeah, that is indeed what's happening. All the coal is going up there. None of it's coming where I need it to go. Okay, is this actually even... That's a begin miner Mark II. Yikes. Alright. Well, it's fine. So we're going to start by setting left any center overflow, and then just to make extra certain, we upgrade you and miner Mark III you. Oh, and you were... So now you're going at 1200 a minute. So that should be all good. It's gonna take forever for this to make its way down the Mark II belt, but it is what it is. So now that will also just sort of incidentally improve our ability to get coal on the train network, so let's also do this for you. It'll only boost it up to 780, because that's what these belts are, but an extra 300 and some, an extra chunk of coal on the train's network is never going to be a bad thing. And fortunately, this was a relatively minor component of our overall coal input, so it's not going to slow it down by all that much. It's going to slow down that one section by like a third, probably, actually, so maybe it is a big deal. I don't know. We'll have to see. Okay, so now we are just making our way back up. And I think we should probably be almost set. Like, there are going to be more problems here, but I'm not too worried about that. What I need to do is I need to figure out, are we going to finish the game within the next hour, or should I just spend the rest of the stream fixing up this one factory and then definitely 100% finish the game next time? Because like, this was the one big step that we had, right? So we have AI expansion servers, which we have the magnetic field generators now. We have the neural quantum processors and superposition oscillators. The excited photonic matter is free. So this is literally just pop down 3 drone ports, a couple converters, and done. Then we have the ballistic warp drive, which we have thermal propulsion rockets, we have singularity cells, we have superposition oscillators, we will have the dark matter crystals once we do the AI expansion servers, and so then that will also just be placing down a couple of machines and then done. So yeah, I think we plan on finishing up today. So we've got our magnetic field generators here, right? And we've got most of a box of them. So let's just set up shop for the last 2 products here. So we might as well do this here, right? There's no reason to go anywhere else. Everything's going to be brought in via drone anyways. So yeah, let's just build this here. So we're going to go to blueprint, auto connect mode. Is that lined up correctly? Okay, it is. It looked like it was weird for some reason. So we get some foundations out, and we get some space. So first up, AI expansion servers. We need, I'm pretty sure we have these 2 guys on drone ports already. If not, I'll have to run over and add them. So let's get the line of drone ports in. And this drone port's actually going to turn out to be unnecessary, but that's fine. So we get drone ports. For the AI expansion servers, it's just those 2. Oh, but we also need time crystals. We also need time crystals for dealing with the dark matter output. So all of those can go in. And then we're going to grab a power line from over here. Speaking of power line, let's just check that we're not about to explode. No, we're looking fine. We're looking like the Fixonium power plant isn't actually functioning, but that's not really a huge issue. If we have time, we can stop by and figure out what's going on with that. So this is AI ES NQP input. Ah, yes, the abbreviations. Very, very comprehensible to anyone who isn't me, for sure. Alright, so you get a drone. And are these being fueled from the other side? We should probably get a rocket fuel input here, just so that we have it. And we're going to have that sort of there, probably. So this is project parts rocket fuel input. And you go to the rocket fuel source. Somehow clicking on that didn't click on it. So there we go. You get a drone. And do I have any rocket fuel on me? I've got 11. Is that enough? Probably not enough. Yeah, we need more. Honestly, it's kind of a miracle that my rocket fuel packaging has actually held up through all of this. Like, I haven't needed to expand it once, which I'm certainly not going to complain about. Although, I don't know, maybe I should actually go and check that to see how much rocket fuel we're producing. But alright, so that's going off to grab some rocket fuel. Then we will start off with the row of splitters to get all these guys fueled up. And okay, that one's facing the wrong way. Make sure you're facing the right way. Then this one gets fueled up. And that one gets... Wait, that's not real. That's an input belt, not a fueling belt. So then that gets fueled up. Alright, so these are the 3 drone imports for this. So, now we go NQP. Do we have just an NQP output? No, we don't. Okay. No need to worry about that. And then this is AEIS superposition oscillator input. Again, with the highly comprehensible shorthand abbreviations. And then this is the AEIP time crystal input, which I know for a fact that we have these in the drone system. So we go time crystal source. And we grab our time crystals, and those can then get brought in. So for this one, so we need to get the superposition oscillators and the NQPs hooked up to drone ports. So let's do that. Oh, and also get this refueler hooked up to all of these guys. Alright, so now we respawn, and we have to find those 2 spots and get drone ports on them. So we reload, and I believe the superposition oscillators are all the way to the northwest, up here, and then the neuroquantum processors are southwest, I believe. So we fly over this way, and let's see, the production line is it this one? No, that's an intermediate one. It's down here. Okay, we do have a drone port for this. What's it called? Drone port 128. Well, yeah, that would do it. Superposition oscillator source. Okay, so now we just need to go to here and grab SPO and give it this port as a destination, and that will be all sorted out, and this one was not fueled up, so that was correct. Alright, so that should be everything we do there. Now we respawn and head over to the neural quantum processors. I should have checked the output numbers on there. It should be 60 per minute, but it's probably fine. I'm pretty sure that that's correct. If I was already in the jetpack, no need to swap to it. So now we head south towards the neural quantum processors, which are these guys over here. Which is this all time crystal? Yeah, so those are time crystal outputs. Where are the neural quantum processor outputs, and what's that thing called? probably called a drone port 127 or something. So we're over here. Neural quantum processor source. Alright, so I just didn't abbreviate it here. That makes sense. So we search for NQP, set that to have its destination be here, and then this one was not fueled, so it's a good thing I brought the fuel on the other side. Alright, so that should be everything. Now we respawn again. And then we can head back up to where we were, up to the Dune Desert, to actually start building that production line. So we just take a hyperdupe cannon up this way to that nice, convenient, gigantic pancake that we've got over there. It's way flatter and less vertical than most of my factories, but still completely fine. It's only this flat and vertical because it's only this flat because there wasn't much to it, really, relatively speaking, compared to some of the other monster builds that I've done. Okay, so now we just land in here and you can swap back. So you... Okay, so you need to be fueled. Let's just get each of these guys started before the extra rocket fuel appears. I didn't give one of you ionized fuel by mistake, did I? Alright. I saved like 10 seconds because there it is, landing it immediately right now. So those guys are going to go off. Then we just need to make the photonic matter. So we need to make 1,000 of that, and that's just in some converters. Converter number 1. So you make excited photonic matter. And we need 5 of these, or 2 of them if we're max overclocking. So let's just do 2 of them, just to save a little bit of space. We're not really at the point where we need to worry about the power demand from this. So this is our 1,000 excited photonic matter. Now, the AI expansion servers, those are in quantum encoders, right? And we need to make 40 a minute, which incidentally is going to finish off the space elevator insanely quick once it's done. So, let's get all of that out. So, quantum encoders. Did we ever make... No, so they don't fit in regular blueprints, and I never made, like, an easy addition blueprint. So, ballistic warp drives, are those also quantum encoders? No. So I'm not going to make a whole blueprint just for this one production line. We're just going to do it manual. So we get ballistic... We get quantum encoders there, and we just need to get down a couple of these. How many of these do we need? 4, maybe? If we're max overclocking, they are 10 each, and we want 40, so yeah, we have 4 of these guys, and that will be that. The power. Someone give me a power grid connection, please. There's a power pole. So we can also get those connected up. And we can get those connected up. So now we have 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So now we just need to get these last 2 powered up. And that needs an additional power pole. Now we need to get all the items into this, which is going to be the world's biggest nuisance because there are 3 inputs. So on this, we do the normal thing where we do 1 on this floor, and then we do the other 2 on the floor beneath. We're going to have to add in manually. So we get that. Then you go in like so. And all of these are just 1-to-1s, right? So it's going to be 40 of everything. Oh, we are going to need to belt speed limit the time crystals and the superposition oscillators. And so I guess we might as well do that for all of them. It's an easy setup anyways. We get a priority merger and a regular old splitter. So we have 60 coming out of there, 60 going through to there. We have some going back, and okay, we actually need to not run into the fuel belt. So then the other 40 combines up like that. And then we might as well do this for you as well. So you get a merger and a splitter and a regular merger. So then we get 60 and 60, and then some goes back. And what on earth? Oh right, yeah, it's a good thing that was impossible, because I definitely would have tried to do it. You connect up to there. Okay, so now we just have to take all of these guys, and I guess these guys aren't even going into a drone port. They are just going along this way. So you come around to here. You get lifted up a bit so that you can skip. Actually, can we just go around? Yeah, we can just go around the refueling port here, just to minimize that. So you are going to go all the way around all of that, and then you come in to here, where these 2 need to be connected up. And then you go into there, and then that just goes across like so. Okay, so that's that in. Then we get the photonic matter. Those just get a tall pipe, which is going to go across here and then drop down and in. Not get off center. Thank you. There we go. So this goes down like that, and not into the solid input. That would be silly. So we're going to have to be a little bit careful when hooking this up to not have all of the pipes try to crowd into a single 600, but it should be perfectly fine. So you connect up on this side, then you run down and connect up on that side, and that should be all the photonic matter done. Then we need these to all go down a floor to make this ever so slightly less pancake shaped. And then all of you guys get lifts going in, and then we're going to have to go down a floor to connect in the drone port inputs to all of this. So the superposition oscillators are back, and the neuroquantum processors have just shown up as well. And we've got plenty of both. Okay, so these also get floor holes there and there. And those are now going down. So now we just have to drop down and actually make that floor exist. So down we go, and yikes, the power grid connection down near the edge there is real sketch. So that goes down 2, and then we just have to get all this stuff connected across. And it does not have to go far, just a little bit over this way. Okay, now we bring these lifts down. So you go like that. We need like one more row of foundations there. Then you go into there. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the near side. Then we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the far side. You hate all-day meetings? Yeah, that's rough. Just not able to actually get any work done. Alright, so we are very nearly done with this. So you go in like that. Then we get a couple more belts in like that. Then we get this belt connected in to there. And now we just have to run all the way down here to one of these guys and get it attached in. So this goes along into there. Now we just get this side set up. And you all connect across. And then this one goes in. And then we get one more splitter connected in. And this belt goes back over to here, where it should be able to get the neural quantum processors, and that should be, I believe, the last step in making AI expansion servers, aside from getting rid of the dark matter output. So that's all in. Now we hop up here, expand this foundation across a little bit. There we go. Okay, now we take these, and they have mergers which just go across. And then these... Actually, let's have the mergers go the other way, because our drone port refueler is over there, so we might as well just use the one refueler for the entire thing. So we take these guys out, and we replace them with conveyor mergers pointing this way. There we go. Then all of this goes through. And then connects up. 2, 3. And now we get a drone port over here somewhere, which is going to sort of spoil my attempt to not have overlapping belts with the refueling, but that's fine. So you provided that first burst of fuel, and now you're off to get more. That's perfectly normal. So then this goes in there. Have these started producing yet? The NQPs haven't quite made it across the belt yet. So that goes in like that. You get powered up. And then we get this belt to come over this way and up a little bit over the magnetic field generator, not up 2 steps like that, just up the 1 step. And then you just wrap straight back down into there. And this is AIES source. And I believe we had this one. So, oh right, we're doing the drones on this side for the space elevators for some dumb reason. Alright, so you then get that, and you go to there. And once you get fuel and AI expansion servers, then that will be that. Alright, AI expansion servers are currently being produced. One last step. Sorry to get you a little bit excited. We have to get the splitter in for the sink. So that gets a smart splitter. Then we get a little bit more space over here. And we get an awesome sink. And this will be right any center overflow. And that's all good. So now the dark matter output. So we get a pipeline along here, which we actually need to expand that row out for it to fit. So this pipeline goes along here. Just along like that. And then we get pipeline junctions. And then all of these guys connect up. And now we just have to turn this into dark matter crystals, which will be the crucial input we need for ballistic warp drives. So, how much dark matter is this? This is 1,000 of it, so we're going to need to be slightly clever, as is frequently the case with how we do our belt piping, or not belting, just piping. So, we go down this way, we get some space. Now, did I ever make a blueprint for particle accelerators? I did, look at that. So, we have this going in, and we need to get you lined up somewhat reasonably so that you don't do weird stuff. So the input side is the near side. That's just how I want it. And then we'll just have you aligned like this, probably. Okay, so you are not doing Fixonium. You are doing dark matter trap. And at max overclock, you take 375 dark matter residue to 100. All right, let's see. We need to do 1,000 of this stuff. And we need to get 400 output. So let's just set this to be 100 each. And then technically we don't even need this to cross connect. We're going to have it do that just for convenience sake. But technically we could just connect each one of these guys into one of them directly and have it be fine. So this goes forwards, and then we'll get the power line up here to connect into that. So we need 4 particle accelerators. 1 and 2 and 3. And let's get power connections going across. So you get powered up, and then we get another one over there so that you can get powered up. Now we just need one more. So let's expand the foundation down to there. And then get our last particle accelerator in. Like so. Okay, so now we can head back to this one, copy paste it across to the other 4, or the other 3 rather. Copy and paste, and paste, and one more. So these are now all set up. We just need to grab our time crystals and connect these pipes in, and that will be all there is to it. So you go all the way down here so that you can input at that extreme end. And then we get the same thing with this one, which just pops across to input to this end. And that is that. Now we hop down here, and we only need one of these inputs. Each of these are 50 time crystals per second, so we'll have to do our speeds with that in mind. It's 200 total. So we get a splitter there, which goes across to there. That, I think that just barely reaches. Then we get a splitter here, which goes across to there. Then we get a splitter in here with Mark II belts to feed those guys. And then this is a Mark III belt, which is going to be coming back from the time crystals, which actually, can we just like run those underground or something so that they don't have to... Actually, this is not that many belts for them to hop over, it's fine. So we need 200 of these guys coming out, and let's get that speed limited. So we have a priority merger, we have a splitter, so we get 120 out, and then we need another 80. So it's 120 plus 2/3 of another 120. So we get a splitter there. You wrap back like that. You merge forwards like this. So that's 120. This is 120, of which we're taking 2/3 of it. So this is our belt of 200. And now you just go across, pop up over this, and then back down. And now you run along this way and connect in. So that should be time crystals. That should be time crystals sorted if I remember to get all of this connected up properly. That needs to have a priority. That needs to be snapped in. And on we go. Alright, so now that should be converting the spare dark matter, which is good because that's all filled up. And then we've got this singular belt here, which has all 400 dark matter crystals on it. Alright. So that's the dark matter crystals, which the time crystals need to show up first, and then these are going to be 100 output each, and it looks like they have Mark VI output belts, so that's fine. Alright, so next up we have the ballistic warp drives. We need to bring in singularity cells and thermal propulsion rockets, and the superposition oscillators are already here. So let's set the drone ports in for that. Now I believe we don't actually have thermal propulsion rockets specifically in drone coverage, so we're going to need to make that, but it should be relatively easy anyways. We're just going to have to head over there and get it fixed up. So we get 2 drone ports in here, and this is BWD singularity cell input, and you get set to the singularity cell's source. Now we power you up. We give you a drone. We give you a starting half stack of rocket fuel. And then we have to get this. So you're gonna take a splitter on you. Hopefully that reaches down. It does. So now this goes forwards and is going to loop around and feed into both of these drone ports so that they can run continually. So that is all set up. You are already en route. So this is BWDTPR input. Now actually wait, we should have these. Yes, we do actually have TPR source because it's a space elevator part, so we have all those connected up to drones. So that just goes. And now we have those. And the ballistic warp drives are simply manufacturers, right? Yes, they are. So is this set up to go? Like, did I give you a drone? Yes, you have en route. So that should happen eventually. So now you get connected up, and you get a drone, and you get your half stack of rocket fuel. And that is that. Now we just need to make the final thing. So first we go back to the superposition oscillators. So these were set up in such a way that the ballistic warp drives need to get this extra 20 here. So this doesn't actually need to loop back. You instead need to... Gosh, I hope I left room on this. You instead just need to get accepted from there. And I'm just going to poke a hole in the floor so that I can get through. Okay, yes, we did leave ourselves some space here to work. Very cool. So this runs along the ceiling up that way a little bit, and then we'll figure out exactly where it's going in a second. So we head over here. We have ballistic warp drives. We have singularity cells. We have time crystals. We have underground superposition oscillators. So now we just need to make our manufacturer blueprint. So let's add some space over there, and then, man, I never called it manufacturer. It was like the supercomputer's blueprint or something. So then that goes in. And how close is this? That should be enough distance. So you go in like that. Oh boy, I'm not used to being this low to the ground. We are still very high up, but there is an obstacle here. Now, that's fine. It doesn't cover anything important. So we can just ignore it, basically. So you get powered, and then we get the other one there. And if I'm not mistaken, if we go to you and tell you to make ballistic warp drives, max overclock you 2.5 per minute. Yes, this is... The 4 of these is enough for the 10 a minute that we're looking for. So those all get copy-pasted. Then the power grid connects across. Alright, now we just need to put our inputs into these guys. And are any of these high quantities? The dark matter crystals are, obviously. The rest of them, not so much. Singularity cells, we're looking at 50 a minute total. and the rest of them are sort of nothing. All right, so that should be pretty easy then. We just get a conveyor splitter there, and you go across like that. Then I guess this one will be where our dark matter crystals go in, because they're right here. So you get one there, and you're going to need to be upgraded to Mark II belts there and there. And you then get them there. Just get all these lifts upgraded first, and then we'll swap to upgrading the belts. Alright, so the lifts are in. Now we get the belts upgraded. So that just goes across like so. Now each of these are 100, so this row here needs to be 200, which is Mark III. Okay, now we just get the dark matter crystals into there. And we have to get the rest of these set up. So we pop around this side, and we get a splitter in to connect these two together. Like that. We've done this side already, we've done that one, and then there's just this top back left to do. So you go in like that, and now we just connect everything up. So dark matter crystals will be first, I think, because they have a specific place they need to go to, and the others can just go to wherever. So we have to head all the way down here because, of course, the belt is pointing the wrong way. And now we just take this, and I guess we'll take it as a Mark VI belt, because why not? And you head all the way back over to here. And we just keep going. And now you go into there. And that will be dark matter crystals supplied. Next, we've got our singularity cells, which we need 50 of those. So let's do the old splitter to limit that so we don't take more than we need. So we need to just send 1/6 back. So that goes back. Then the other half of that one, and then the other 2/3 of the main thing all go forwards, and that is 50 out of 60. You get a priority merger with medium left, and you get connected up. Alright. Singularity cells, check. Dark matter, check. What else was there? Oh, it was presumably whatever is in here, right? Yes, the thermopropulsion rockets. So those can come out, and we only need like 10 a minute of these, right? So you go up, and then over, and then down, and then we get the inverse of that 50 a minute limiter that we just did. So we get you, split you. So we send that forwards, we split you in half first, then we split you in thirds. And those all go back. You are a priority merger with priority to the outsides. And then that will go forwards. Thermopropulsion rockets can go in, and unless I've missed any belts in there, that should be all we need for that. So this belt just wraps around the edge and in. Thermopropulsion rockets, check. Dark matter crystals, check. Singularity cells, check if I remembered to connect them up properly. There we go. So now it is just the final thing, the superposition oscillators. Those go in here. And they come down a level. Then they go down another level. Is this lined up right? Yes, it is. There we go. And now we just have to drag this along to that other belt we built down here earlier. If we can find it. I think I see it. There it is. Yep, definitely see it. Okay, so this goes forwards a little bit more, connects into that, and that is superposition oscillators attached, which theoretically means that we have a supply of ballistic warp drives. The AI expansion servers, meanwhile, are, I believe... Okay, it's hard to tell whether that trip is taking the 120 some that it needs to finish us off. It looks like these guys are still yellow, and that's still just because of dark matter residue. So that'll all get fixed pretty soon. And then the superposition oscillators will be the last ones to make their way up to here, although nothing but the dark matter crystals have made their way in so far. And that's just... There's nothing going wrong there, it's just these guys being a bit slow. So now we have to set up our output for this. So we go here, we go under that little arch, and now we get a drone port plus sync up here, and we will be able to hopefully just wait and let the game finish itself from that point. So we get our drone port. Drone port goes in there. You get attached up, and you are ballistic warp drive source. Then you get powered, and you get a drone, and you're going to deliver that to Space Elevator Ballistic Warp Drive input. And you are going to get a half a stack of packaged rocket fuel, like so. And that should be it. I believe we have the space elevator fueled from the other side, so we don't, strictly speaking, need to be fueling things from this side. Although I guess it wouldn't hurt, right? No, it would actually make a really complicated and ugly belt, so we're not going to do it. We're just going to leave things as they are for now. So, these guys have their stacks of time crystals, or dark matter crystals, and their stacks of time crystals. These guys have everything but the superposition oscillators in the machines ready to start crafting. And that one's actually started already. Which means it should be just like seconds until the rest of these get booted up too. Yeah, here come the superposition oscillators. That's more than 20 per minute. That's a lot more than 20 per minute. What's up with that? Oh, it's because these guys are deadlocked waiting for the space to clear. So because this is all full, then more superposition oscillators are going down here than strictly need to. But that's fine. That will get fixed eventually. So now we are doing stuff. So the dark matter crystals are starting to move on the belts again. And these are 24-second cycles, so we should actually already be seeing some. Yes, we are indeed already seeing a couple ballistic warp drives, and of course I forgot to put the sync in, as is traditional. Imagine remembering to do the sync the first time. Couldn't be me. Alright, so awesome sync. You just sort of go in however. you get a connection, you get a connection. It's kind of wobbly and gross, but whatever. The important thing is that it works. Write any center overflow. And now we have our supply of ballistic warp drives. Now, assuming this runs at 100%, which it should do pretty easily, unless thermal propulsion rocket production fails or something. So unless there's some horrible problem, which doesn't look like is the case, this should be done in 20 minutes, right? It's 10 per minute, we have 200 to produce. That should equal 20 minutes, which conveniently is a pretty much exactly the amount of time we want to leave. Alright, so for now, let's go back and do some bug fixing over here, I guess, because I just saw yellow light. So what is your problem? Not enough versatile frameworks. So that is these guys. You don't have enough steel beams, so that started being a problem. And why is that? You need 75 per minute each. Did I just see... Okay, it's definitely a belt speed upgrade problem, because most of them are fine. It's just this guy who didn't get the Mark II belt there. Okay, problem solved. That probably only lost us like 10% or something overall. It's just 80% of one of 8 machines. It's like kind of not much. But now it's fixed, and now it's perfect. Okay, so back over to here. The singularity cells are coming out. We've got more than enough thermal propulsion rockets, more than enough singularity cells, at least to beat the game. So the EIS, AI expansion servers, those are going out as well. And they should be back up to 100% now. So they've got plenty of all their inputs, and the dark matter residue is being dealt with appropriately. So that should get this kicked through, and I'm not entirely sure where that drone is, but this delivery here is probably going to be the last one we need for the AI expansion servers. Then up here, the ballistic warp drive drone is back, so it will have collected the first couple at least. And more to go. Alright, so yeah, everything seems to be going pretty decently. We might still have problems with the dark matter residue output. It looks like we do. And is that just... So these guys are all fully saturated as well. Yeah, so that's not a serious issue. It's just the belt saturation on these guys. So they should be fine, and let's actually just manually clear out that saturation so that you can start working. So now you should be able to go at full speed, just with only that change. Now there's not going to be any significant buffers in these guys, and they're just going to be producing round the clock. And actually, while we're at it, let's try to do that thing that I like to do, where we're going to take out of these, which is going to slow it down a little bit, but it should prevent there from being an overabundance of dark matter crystals on the belts. We're not going to do this for any of the other things because they're coming in via drone port, but for the dark matter crystals in particular, I think that's a thing that makes sense to do. So now these should be draining the dark matter crystals off of this belt until this should be running at 400 per minute and with plenty of open belt space to do it with. We might need to clear off one more cycle of this. which we will do in a little bit probably. Okay, what I guess we can do is like we can take the singularity cells out of here and then just put them back into the drone port. I guess that's technically an option that we can do to get those looking good again. So we'll take all the singularity cells out of all of these guys, and then we will run back to the drone port and just shove them back in over here. Or not on the outgoing side, on the incoming side. And then I guess we'll just have those three go in now. So now the singularity cells should be just running continually from that point. And we can do the same thing with the others. Just get these belts drained and looking nice. So superposition oscillators come out. And then they go back in the superposition oscillator input, if we can find it. Should be all the way back here. Here we go. This one. And, okay, that's actually a problem. There's like hardly any missing because this isn't going correctly. So, yeah, these guys have like stacks of 100 of them that they're just waiting on. I don't want to destroy those, but I probably just will. So let's clear all those out. And so now the superposition oscillators should be coming in at the appropriate speed everywhere. And then neural quantum processors, we'll do the same thing. We grab these guys out of the machines. And in theory, if these are functioning correctly, this should cause only a very temporary disruption, because they're just going to get replenished immediately. Okay, and then we want to do the magnetic thingamabobs next. And those don't even need to worry about drone ports, they're just being produced on site. Still not enough dark matter output for these guys for some reason. Don't know what's going on with that, but hopefully not a huge, like, calamity. I mean, the AIES is already done, and the ballistic warp drives are starting. So the time crystals don't look like they ever got fully flooded in there, so that we don't need to do. They're just flowing normally. The singularity cells look like they're not set up right, actually. Yes, I missed a belt in there. So the singularity cells were just going at 60 a second, or 60 a minute rather, this whole time. So we might need to drain them again. Or it should be fine, right? So we don't have any spares in there or in here, so it should all just be working now. Now, these guys are showing yellows, and that is because of a lack of dark matter crystals. So this is actually a limiting factor now. So, you're going 100%. Are all of these going 100%, or are some of these guys having problems? 1, 2, 3, one last guy back here. Ah, you just didn't get powered up. That'll certainly do it. That will certainly do the trick. Alright, so now you're powered up. You're taking your dark matter residue input, and that should just instantly fix all those problems. And again, it should be relatively quick because of how fast these cycles are. This is 1.2 seconds for a cycle to go through, and then it's going on Mark 6 belts. So it'll reach the destination in no time as well. And now you should be able to output all of your dark matter residue, and that should be that. So now the ballistic warp drives, we just have to check. We've got 20 accumulated in here. And it looks like this is round trip of every 5 minutes, which means we should be transporting 50 at a time, I think. Alright. Now, hopefully this doesn't take too much longer. We'll just keep playing until the credits roll. And in the meantime, we can set down an awesome shop and buy the golden nut. Oh, I need to actually withdraw some credits from a sink first. Hang on, let's run over to do that. So we have a sink. This sink wasn't powered, so it's a good thing we happened to look at it. So now you are powered, and we print a whole bunch of coupons. Apparently they only print 500 at a time. And there we go. So now we have 1,000, 2,000, 2,600 coupons exactly, actually. It's pretty neat. And we've done that with no DNA coupons at all. So now we can head over here to the awesome shop, and I think we'll get a Steam achievement for this, probably. Fix It Specials. The golden nut. And we purchase. Yeah, we got a Steam achievement. Cool.
You are now a contributor to a popular Pioneer trend. In earlier testing phases of the Save the Day program, pioneers could not get enough of these nuts, to the point of featuring nuts in every single picture they took. This obsession eventually became unhealthy, and pioneers were taught the skill of restraint and not holding anything in their hands. Still, to honor the love humanity had for these nuts, a statue was commissioned, so we can honor the impact these nuts had on pioneers across the universe.
All right, that's a fun little bit of backstory there. The golden nut. All right, so yeah, and there is, just like we calculated, there's about 50-ish in the outgoing there. So now I guess we just plop this thing down somewhere. I don't know, where do we want to put it down? How we put it down here next to the final drone port and the final production line. So if we just go here, put you in our hand, and plop you down. And look at that. So shiny and beautiful and fancy. It's one of those things where, like, in all of my previous saves, I just never built up enough to get to it. And in this save, you just sort of sleepwalk into it almost. It's actually not that hard to get a whole lot of awesome coupons if you're building at a very insanely large scale. And I didn't even have to kill any monsters to get this. It just sort of happened, and I could buy a second one if I wanted. Which, who knows? I might do that at some point, just for fun. But yeah, whatever. It's not a big deal. We've got our awesome nut. And that's the important part. And then we should be not too far away from saving the day as well. So we've got, I believe, 40 ballistic warp drives in the air, and we've got all these guys. So now we just sort of get to hang out while that happens. And I guess while we do that, I need to figure out what's coming next, because this is going to be the last stream of this Satisfactory save. So I think next week I might be taking Tuesday and Thursday off next week, but then I think and I'm not sure about that, I might start up immediately anyways, but I think my next save is going to be a new game. So I think we're going to put Satisfactory on the back burner for a while, and we're going to pick up, I'm not sure about, like, Dyson Sphere Program or Shapes 2 or something like that. Some new game that I haven't played yet, and just see what that's about, and then we'll be back to Satisfactory not too long, we'll probably do some modded stuff eventually. Yeah, I think the next time we come back to Satisfactory, we're going to be playing with some mods and see what that's like. But we'll probably be doing a different game in the meantime, so that should be exciting. I don't really know what to expect from those games. I think I technically played like 10 minutes of Dyson Sphere Program on my own before deciding, I probably want to stream this, so I stopped playing it. And I think I played Shapes 1, maybe? I don't know, it was a long time ago. I can't remember. I can't remember whether I played that game or not, but we're going to have to figure out what we're doing. But it's going to be some new factory building game. And that should be that. So now, let's see, what else is there to talk about for like the last, 5-ish minutes? Oh, it looks like the drone has appeared at the space elevator as it's filling up that ballistic warp drive bar. Which means that we'll be able to figure out, I believe it'll be this delivery here and then one more after that, just based on the numbers. And are these guys seriously still at 87%, or is that just weirdness? Alright, there's not enough time crystals now. So is that because we burned through our entire supply, or is that because we've done something else wrong? So we have a speed limiter here, so it must just be that we've set the speed limiter wrong. So how many time crystals is this supposed to be? How many time crystals? You are 50 each across 4, so that should be 200. And this... oh, I see what happened. We ended up not connecting up this extra 120, so we were only sending 120 through. So now we're sending 200 through. That'll be enough time crystals for that. And that should give us our dark matter crystals again. Gosh. The dark matter crystals in particular, I apparently just completely dropped the ball on building this correctly. I've had more problems with this one thing than with the other couple steps combined. Although, to be fair, I also made 1,000 mistakes on the magnetic field generators, so maybe that's just the sort of attention span I'm in right now these past couple days, but we got there. The important thing is that it's all working now, probably. I'm pretty sure I did the math, and all the inputs to these are stable and capable of producing how much they're outputting. So I haven't checked that, but it should be fine. And if it isn't fine, then, well, we would find out in a couple hours from now, but there won't be a couple hours from now probably, so we'll just assume that it's fine, and then it won't have any impact on anything at all if it isn't, so there. Alright, so the time crystals inputs are going. We're getting another delivery of the AI expansion servers to go out. There's 109 ballistic warp drives in the space elevator right now, and there's 8 in here. So hopefully that's because the drone just left, because I'm pretty sure there was 30 or 40. It's hard to keep track of where the drone is at any given moment. And obviously, ultimately we need them all to get crafted. So it's not like the drone showing up and leaving is going to cause too much time loss. It's just going to be like an extra 5 minutes theoretically. Just going to be an extra 5 minutes where, at most, where the drone is... there's enough ballistic warp drives, but they just haven't made it to the space elevator yet. So that shouldn't be a huge problem. And now we are just waiting. The dark matter crystals still haven't been fixed. What is your problem now? The time crystals look fine now, so is it just... it's probably just the percentages of... it's probably just that these things are taking their time to catch back up. This one weirdly has a ton of time crystals in it. don't know how you managed to get all of those. All the rest of these are pretty consistently at like 5 or 6. And this one's got 40 in it. I don't know how that happened. Maybe when I was running along earlier to clear out the excess inventory, I missed that one for some reason. That's the only thing I can think of. Alright, is there a drone in this vicinity? There shouldn't be, right? Because there's only 20 here. So if the round trip is almost exactly 5 minutes, then if the round trip is almost exactly 5 minutes and produce 10 a minute, there should be 50 in here by the time it's completed the round trip. Which means, based on that, yeah, I was actually going to say, before I started noticing that ticking up, based on the fact that this is halfway to 50, this should be just about to start. It should be just at the other halfway point of the round trip, which is at the other spot. So if this gets up to above 150 and this gets to 50, then the next drone should finish us off. And if either of those fail, then I guess I'll just bring the last 1 or 2 manually rather than wait for another 5 minutes. Alright, so that is at 150. It stops at 151, so we need to get 49 ballistic warp drives out of here in order for everything to line up. And are the dark matter crystals back on schedule? It looks like they are, which means it should be possible. They don't have any summer sloops. They're already max overclocked, so I can't squeeze out any little extra time. So it's just going to be a question of how this lines up. Okay, no, the drone is here immediately. It's just going to pick up these 30 or 40, and I guess I'll just wait for another 10. I'll just wait for another 10 after this leaves, and then respawn and launch myself down to the space elevator. And then that will be that. So yeah, that's 41 outgoing currently, 42, and then they're gone. So it picked up 42. So I just need to wait for 8 technically. Even 7 if I really wanted to min-max it, but I think we'll wait for 10. Should be literally 1 minute, right? Because these are running at 100% now. And the AI expansion servers are also still working, it seems. Right, so we go back here. This is successfully getting all of this dark matter residue out. So that should be all good. So just in that quick distraction, hopefully that's bought us time. We're up to 7, so we could technically leave now, but we're just going to let these next couple show up just in case some weird, horrible math thing happens. Now we're up to 9. And now we will be at 10, and then I'll grab them. Right, so grab them. Now we can respawn and launch ourselves over to the space elevator. And then that will be that. Alright, so over to the space elevator. Through this. Actually, at some point we had there's like some portal thing, which I've still technically never used, but it's just kind of entirely useless. Like, it takes singularity cells to run when you could just respawn to a place with a bunch of hypertube cannons and then launch yourself, which just seems much easier. Alright, so we are coming in for a landing. There's also a drone coming in for a landing. I wonder if that's the ballistic warp drives drone, actually. It probably is. Yes, it is. Alright, cool. So, let's chuck those in manually. So we're at 163. And then swap over to the hover pack. And the drone is going to finish landing and deliver the last 40. And then we will have beaten the game officially using only load balancing and making 10 base production worth of every recipe. We are almost there. These are now traveling along the belt, and they'll just have to make their way over. 40 should... So once this first one reaches in here, it should take 40 seconds for us to finish, because it's 60 a minute, which is 1 per second. And then we will be all done. So, warp drives go through, and they're filling in. Please say I didn't somehow do the math wrong. The last one is on the belt. Last warp drive is on the belt. They're going through. And there it is. So just get to watch it just slowly move down a Mark 1 belt. And this is honestly why I like Mark 1 belts. So you can wait to see things move, as opposed to Mark 6, where it's just sort of like you place it down and then boom, it's there, and it's like, well, that wasn't satisfying at all. Alright, but we've done it. We have 200, we have like 3 to spare. Alright. We get to pull the lever and flip all the switches and everything, and then finish the game. Alright. Now we get to listen to some cutscenes.
Here's another presentation, but don't worry, I have improved it. This last delivery will be the most important action you have ever taken. Perhaps
Sure
you
it
want
is.
to take a moment to contemplate the gravity of your achievements. Alright, that's enough. This is
Gravity
the end of the Save the
contemplated.
Day program. All you need to do is wait for the automated Phase 5 construction to complete. Simply throw the lever and further instructions will be supplied
Just got
when
a couple
relevant.
things to flip. There. Pull the lever. And here we go. Send delivering to project assembly. Up it goes. And now let's move back to get a good view of this. And up it goes. Such a cool concept, the space elevator. We need to build one of those in real life. That would be cool.
Phase 5 completed. Return to the space elevator after the resources have been processed and added to project assembly.
Yep.
Launch can then be initiated from there. While waiting, please do not break anything.
Alright, I wonder if
Solve
it's
any
actually...
issues immediately
There's surely
and efficiently.
nothing...
Ensure
There's gotta be
your
like
power
some button you
network
can
is
press that
stable.
can cause Ada to say
Perhaps
something
it is
funny.
best if you do not touch anything at all. And stay close to the space elevator. This will only take a moment.
Yep. Alright. So I guess it's going? Do I have to... I can't remember if this is the point where I have to flip the switches, or if there's like another cutscene that I have to do. I think this is the point where I have to flip the switches, right? Drop down here. Yes. Check oil. Well, I'm going to click wipe windows. It doesn't do anything. Alright, check oil. Done. Fuel injection level to 5. Done. I couldn't drag it to 6, unfortunately. I tried. Activate bus B1, which is that one. It's that one. And left stabilizer to 9. Huzzah. That's... Okay, that looked like it was at 9. And... Right, stabilizer to 4. There we go. Gyroscopic X balancer on. And we just have to click all these buttons. And the Z balancer. Finalizing preparations. And the screen is going dark. Preparations complete. Launch. Alright. So now that is going to do the final animation. There we go.
Initiating project assembly. Assembly. Attaching cargo to main body.
Alright. So now this is going to go off to a different planet where it's going to drop a Pioneer down and do the same thing over and over forever. Hooray for saving the day. Alright, so that does a weird little rotate
Leveling
thing.
inner
Yep.
and outer rings.
Congrats again. I think this is the third time now that I've beaten the game, technically. Yeah, third.
Attaching propulsion to main body.
Which, when you think about it, makes perfect sense within the lore, right? Because we're all clones of each other. Well, it's a bit suspicious that it's the same planet every time, but who knows? Maybe there's just a bunch of very similar planets out there.
Fuel lines connected. Attaching control center to main body.
There we go. And that all gets connected.
Running systems check. All systems online. Releasing propulsion cage.
And it's off, basically. Can't wait to... The ballistic warp drive animation is cool, so I'm excited to see that.
Releasing clamps.
You don't get to see it every day.
Running pre-launch checks and calculating flight path.
Alright.
Locking in cargo.
I always forget how long this animation is.
Launch in
It's
T-minus
actually
10.
like a lot of stuff.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1,
2, 1,
liftoff.
liftoff. And it's off. And there it goes. I've got all the fun little stabilizing, maneuvering jets and stuff. It's a cool little detail that they remembered to add those. And then it goes. And man, you always forget how many little details there are in this animation, which only plays once at the very end of the game. Alright, there go the ballistic warp drives. And off they go. Like little fireworks, except instead of fun firework explosions, they make a portal. There we go. And very, very cool. Sort of like a portal to the warp, but hopefully safer. Man, that thing's been super non-moving up that whole time. It wasn't adjusting at all. Right, and then off it goes, and through. Alright, game complete. Game complete, and there's like credits or something, right? I definitely remember there being something after this. Yep. Leaving you on the planet to die with nothing to do. Yep, that is, you know, it's fine. We were stuck here on the planet this whole time anyways.
Connection with QAR-437 nucleus established and stable. Dispersion initiated. Reinstancing master nucleus to QAR-436 Akicha B1. Hello, this is Ada, your new local instance
Hooray,
of Ada.
new local
On
instance.
behalf of Ada, myself, and all of Fixit, I want to congratulate you on saving the day. Every single kitten and puppy would thank you if they could. You have proven yourself to be a worthwhile and productive member of the human race, and have contributed
Yay.
something to this universe that
Hooray
will
for
forever
contributing
change
to the
it.
universe.
Thanks to your achievements, the next generation of pioneers can now take to the stars and construct, automate, explore and exploit, alongside me. Additionally, you have been promoted to local production manager, effective
Oh boy,
immediately.
production.
Your duties to project assembly may be complete,
You have something to
but
do?
your duties to fix it
I'm
remain.
sure the Pioneer can
With
think
your
of
help,
something to
Fix It
do.
continues to
They
make the
can,
universe a
they
better
could probably play
place.
golf or something,
Stay
you know?
efficient. Stay with Fix It.
Alright, and then the credits roll, and that is that. Alright, so yeah, I think I mentioned this earlier, but we're probably going to be taking Tuesday and Thursday of next week off, but we're still going to be doing Factorio as usual, just chugging along through that. And then we're going to be probably starting up, I think probably Dyson Sphere program will be our next game for the Tuesday, Thursday slot. And then we will be back to Satisfactory eventually after that. So if you're interested in playing other factory building games, then make sure to stop by for that, see what that's like. Probably won't be as good as Satisfactory, but you know, you gotta do something different every so often. Beat the same game 3 times in a row, gonna go for a 4th time in a row, can get a bit repetitive. So we're gonna do something different for a little bit, and then we'll be back with mods and Satisfactory probably after that. So yeah, that's about it. Let's see. I'm probably not going to sit here and wait for the credits to roll all the way through. I think we're going to just wrap up here. Thanks everyone for hanging out. This was a super fun save. I've done all sorts of cool stuff with the load balancing and using enormous amounts of resources to do everything. So yeah, thanks everyone for hanging out, and I will see you guys next time in Factorio. So yeah, that's about it.